I don't know if it's due to wanting to be open-minded or if it's because I'm a 90s kid, but I like going out of my way to give modern retro-styled games a try. It also helps that I enjoy playing retro games I never got around to playing back in the day. Either way, I saw enough of what Kudzu had to offer to want to give it a try. What stood out to me from the start was the menacing music featured at the main menu. It was so expressive that it left me thinking what's to come. Having played the role of Kudzu, I'd say it's almost misleading, but not entirely. On the other hand, Kudzu also features uplifting music. There's enough varied music here that you don't feel inundated by a particular style or mood as a result. I liked how Kudzu was straight to the point. It started off by allowing me to freely explore and I didn't feel held back. Seeing as how this is an adventure game that's heavily influenced by the classic Legend of Zelda games, it's great that Kudzu got that feeling of adventure right. It shows me just how big of a Legend of Zelda fan the dev of this game must be, but also that they got the point/feeling that was being conveyed in the Zelda games. Some might be turned off as a result of me saying that Kudzu offered easygoing gameplay, but that really just made it stand out even more to me. For the most part, I thought it was relaxing to play. It might also be a weird comment to make in regards to a game, but I felt positive vibes from it. It also helped that this was seen in multiple different aspects of the game. Whether it was the amusing screen that would pop up when I unlocked a new weapon/tool, or because of funny dialogue. More specifically, there was a moment when I finished saving and was met with, I don't know why I said it's safe to turn off the system. I took it as an amusing breaking the fourth wall kind of joke, and it accomplished what it set out to do. Making it an adventure game that lets you widely explore right from the start and capturing that feeling is easier said than done. While that may be true, Kudzu managed to accomplish that. The word that came to mind as I was playing was intuitive. For a decent chunk of the early game, it was easy to know where to go and what to do. Due to that, it was easy to want to keep playing. I like that because the truth is that sometimes I'll play games that feel as if I'm having to get chores done. When I not only enjoy a game but find it easy to keep playing, I'm a happy camper. This started to change the more I progressed through Kudzu. Advancing got harder because of having to beat enemies in order for doors to open. Initially, enemy encounters were fun because these situations felt more like little puzzles rather than straight-up combat. I eventually got to the point where I was so familiar with some of the enemies and the areas I was in that I could completely avoid them without taking damage. That wasn't always the case, and I eventually started to get bored with them. That was the case for multiple reasons, and I'll eventually get around to all of them. At first, it was because the different enemies really weren't different. Their appearance was appropriate for the area I happened to be in, but the type of enemy that they were really wasn't different. I don't want to go so far as to say that they were just reskinned to match the area they were in, but there were definitely specific groups that enemies fit into. Whether it was melee enemies or projectile firing ones, I eventually got overly accustomed to them. It also didn't help that Kudzu offers limited weaponry. I want to say that it's okay for a Game Boy-styled Legend of Zelda clone, but I'm not entirely satisfied with that explanation. I want to say it's 2024 and it's possible to deliver a tribute to a beloved classic while still offering more that's appropriate to the time in which it was released rather than when its influences first became popular. I'd say that's a topic of conversation that deserves its own video, and at the moment I don't want to get into arguing over differing dev ideologies. Due to the limited weaponry, the combat eventually started to suffer. Bosses helped keep things fresh by standing out, appearance-wise, and also by offering more besides what was already experienced. Though that helped, it was more of a band-aid than a total cure for the problem because boss fights were only a smart part of Kudzu. I also didn't like that you pretty much had to be on top of enemies to strike them. It makes sense, seeing as how your main weapon is a melee one, but this led to me dying more than once. I would get up close and personal to the enemies, strike at them, but I would end up getting hit without having anything to show for what I'd just done. This was straight up annoying and it eventually led me to want to avoid combat. Despite initially praising Kudzu for allowing you to explore from the beginning and being able to correctly capture that mood, at later points in the game it was easy to get lost. You could buy maps and see where you were going, but the truth is that at times I felt like I was going in circles. This was mainly when I unlocked the door or powered something up. The problem was that a lot of things looked the same. Some of you might be thinking, duh, that's the point of themed areas, but this left me feeling like I was wasting more time than was necessary. After a while, I would feel like I'd made a lot of progress and got further into the game, but then I realized that wasn't the case. The solution to this was pretty much just to keep at it until brute forcing my way to a solution. Knowing how some players are, that's enough to make them want to move on to another game. Despite having largely enjoyed my time with Kudzu, I don't consider it a must-play. It's because it's a niche within a niche. It's a modern retro-styled Game Boy game that's heavily influenced by early Zelda. I'm sure that there are open-minded players out there that would be willing to give it a try despite not having any sort of connection to those things, but I also know that it might be too big of an ask to expect general players to give Kudzu a try and be entertained by it. At the end of the day, if you like what you've seen and what I've discussed interests you, feel free to give Kudzu a try. How do you feel about clones/tributes of highly popular games? Is there such a thing as a game being too retro for you to play? Are there games that immediately come to mind for doing a good job in getting a specific mood/feeling across? If you enjoyed this content, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much for watching.